Something's wrong in Philadelphia. And it's not just a bump in the road. It's starting to feel like deja vu. Two straight losses, both ugly, both exposing the same fundamental flaws we saw not long ago in that late-season collapse back in 2023. If you're an Eagles fan, this has to be frustrating, not just because of the losses, but because of how they're losing. Let's talk about it. Let's rewind the clock a bit. In 2023, the Eagles jumped out to a 10-1 record, but even then, there were red flags. Many of those wins felt fluky. The offense was stale, predictable, lacking rhythm and creativity. Eventually, it all caught up with them. They closed the season losing 6 of their last 7 games. Now fast forward to this season. The team started 4-0, but again, it didn't feel convincing. And here we are, deep into the season, and things are unraveling once more. Offensively, this team has no identity. Nothing they do stands out. It's bland, it's unthreatening, and worst of all, it's easy to defend. Defenses aren't being caught off guard, they're not being stretched, and the lack of creativity is painful to watch. That's been evident in the losses to the Giants and the Broncos, and in the second half collapse against the Buccaneers, where Jalen Hurts didn't complete a single pass. Not one. And let's be real, this isn't just about execution. It's about construction. The losses in the offseason are showing their full impact now. Isaiah Rodgers, for example, was a player this team needed to bring back. Instead, the Vikings snatched him up on a modest 2-year deal worth $11 million, and he's now the second highest graded corner in coverage in the entire league. Meanwhile, the Eagles opted to go with Adoree Jackson, who's been a disaster. Fangio even said it before the season. There's a reason the Titans let him walk. There's a reason the Giants didn't fight to keep him. He can't cover, he can't tackle, and now the Eagles are paying the price for that mistake. Letting Rodgers and Darius Slay both walk and replacing them with a declining veteran? That's a rare misstep by Howie Roseman, and it's one the team is paying for week after week. The defense, despite being more talented than last year on paper, just got bullied by the Giants. Soft. There's no other way to put it. And if that feels familiar, it should, because that was the defining word of the 2023 collapse too. Soft, uninspired, and frankly, unacceptable. Now, let's talk about the offensive line, which used to be a cornerstone of this team's success. This year, it's been anything but. Landon Dickerson hasn't looked right all season. Cam Jurgens got a contract extension after back surgery, and he hasn't lived up to it. Jordan Mailata started strong, but he's fallen off hard. Against both the Giants and the Broncos, he got handled by premier edge rushers. And even Lane Johnson, the Iron Man of this line, has struggled through injuries and inconsistency. It's been a total regression across the board, and that leads directly into the run game, which has been lifeless. It's not a Saquon Barkley problem. When he actually gets some space, he looks explosive. The juice is still there. But he's not getting any help. The offensive line is getting blown up so often that Barkley barely has room to breathe. Last year, he was averaging just under 4 yards before contact. This year, closer to 1. That's a massive difference. That's a failing offensive line. Then there's the quarterback situation. Look, Jalen Hurts has shown what he's capable of when the system plays to his strengths. Against man coverage, he's been phenomenal, one of the best in the league statistically. But against zone, that's where the struggles show up. Reading defenses, throwing with anticipation, making layered throws, those are the areas where he's not delivering. And now, without an offensive coordinator like Shane Steichen to mask those weaknesses, those flaws are right there for everyone to see. Let's not forget, Hurts has admitted it himself. Zone defenses require anticipation. They force you to throw with timing, not just react. And that's where he's been off. The deep ball, which used to be a strength, has been non-existent. The timing throws? Not hitting. The offense isn't helping him, but he's not helping them either. That brings us to the idea of a quarterback switch, something fans have started whispering about. Would starting Tanner McKee send a message? It would certainly shake things up. But more importantly, it would give us some clarity. Is the problem the scheme? Is it the coaching? Or is it the quarterback? With McKee under center, you'd at least see a different style. someone who throws receivers open, who's not afraid to take risks, who throws with anticipation. That's not to say he's the answer, but it would expose what or who is really holding this offense back. Now, the Eagles don't have a quarterback controversy right now, but if things continue like this, if Hurts keeps struggling, if the offense keeps sputtering, that conversation becomes a lot more real. On the defensive side, cornerback is a glaring issue. With Quinyon Mitchell potentially out for a while with a hamstring injury, the Eagles are left relying on Adoree Jackson, who, as we've already said, hasn't been good, and Khalil Ringo, who's been flat-out bad. He held his own against Tampa Bay, but the last 2 games have been rough. They traded for Jacorian Bennett, but he's on injured reserve. No one knows what he can actually do on the field. They need another corner. Period. Look at what the Jaguars did. They're contending, they needed help, so they went out and traded for Greg Newsome. That's what aggressive, playoff-minded front offices do. If the Eagles want to salvage this season, they have to be just as aggressive. And while we're at it, this team desperately needs a pass rusher. The production from the edge has been practically non-existent. Josh Sweat, 0 sacks. Nolan Smith, on injured reserve. The only edge rusher who's done anything is Zadarius Smith, and he didn't even join the team until after week 1. He leads the team's edge rushers with 1.5 sacks. That's it. That's not good enough. The Eagles' identity, the thing that made them a feared team, used to be toughness in the trenches, physical dominance on both sides of the ball, and an offense that could beat you in multiple ways. Right now, they have none of that. They can't win in the trenches. The pass game is broken. The run game is stalled. And the defense is soft in the worst possible moments. Even special teams is letting them down. The return game has offered absolutely nothing. Poor field position has been a consistent issue. And that's not just bad luck. That's a personnel problem. Why not elevate Britton Covey? The guy was one of the most productive punt returners in the league in 2023. He may be undersized, but he has a knack for finding space, setting up blocks, and flipping field position. That's something this team desperately needs right now. So yeah, things are rough. Fans are right to be frustrated. This isn't just about losing games. It's about the way this team is playing. The same patterns, the same collapses, the same lack of urgency. We've seen this movie before. The question now is, are they willing to change the script before it's too late? The thing about this Eagles team is that even with all the talent on the roster, something feels off, not just tactically but emotionally. There's a certain lack of fire, a missing sense of urgency that you'd expect from a team trying to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. And if you're hoping they'll just figure it out, flip the switch, and return to form like nothing happened, that might be a dangerous assumption. Because we've already seen what happens when this team starts spiraling. It doesn't just stop on its own. Let's look at the coaching. Nick Sirianni is known for being adaptable. In 2021, when things weren't working, he made an in-season adjustment and turned the team into a run-heavy attack. It worked. In 2022, they built on that, became more balanced, and Hurts played at an MVP level. That team was physical, explosive, and sharp. But in 2023, the adjustments were too slow. There was no identity, turnovers piled up, and the collapse came fast. In 2024, Sirianni made some mid-season changes again, and they clawed their way into form. So now in 2025, the question is, will they make the necessary adjustments in time? And more importantly, do they have the right pieces to even execute those changes? Let's talk about the offensive play calling, because this might be the root of it all. Kevin Patullo just isn't getting it done. There's no rhythm to the offense, no creativity, no real plan to exploit matchups. It's stale, and it's painfully obvious to anyone watching. At this point, the idea of demoting Patullo or even letting him go should be on the table. Promote the quarterback's coach, hand him the reins, and at least try something new. Because continuing down the same road is just asking for the same result. Now, could the Eagles bring in someone from outside the organization to shake things up? That's a tough call. The market is dry. All the best coordinators are already working somewhere else. You can't just pluck a great offensive mind out of nowhere mid-season and expect magic. Someone like John Gruden as a consultant? Sure, he's got the experience. Maybe he brings a fresh perspective. But handing him full control of the offense? That's not realistic, not without months to install a system. So you're left with in-house options. And frankly, that's probably the only path forward. The bigger concern is whether the team is emotionally ready to pivot. Because right now, it doesn't feel like they're desperate enough. You'd expect a team with this much talent, with this much at stake, to be playing with more urgency. Instead, they look flat, disconnected, like they're waiting for someone else to fix the problem. And that kind of mentality is dangerous, especially in the NFL, where momentum can swing fast and playoff spots disappear in a flash. On the trade front, there's growing pressure on Howie Roseman to make another move. Fans are calling for help at cornerback and on the edge, and rightfully so. The front office can't ignore what's happening on the field. The Jaguars made a bold move to get Greg Newsome, recognizing that their window is open and they needed to go for it. The Eagles are in a similar spot. If they truly believe this team is built to win now, then you can't sit back and hope it all fixes itself. You have to be aggressive. Yes, it might cost draft picks. Yes, it might mean parting with a young player like Mechie or Bixby. But let's be honest, those players aren't contributing right now. Mechie couldn't crack the Texans' rotation and hasn't made a dent in Philly either. Bixby has flashed, but he cost 2 picks and still isn't a major factor. Packaging one of them in a deal to land a proven corner or pass rusher, that's a move you make 10 times out of 10 if you're serious about competing. But the reality is, no trade will fix everything. The problems run deeper. There's a leadership vacuum on both sides of the ball. There's a lack of energy. And even worse, there's a lack of accountability. Look at the way this team responds after getting punched in the mouth. They don't. There's no response. No surge of pride. Just more of the same. That kind of passivity is the fastest way to watch a season slip away, one painful week at a time. As for the fans asking whether Hurts should be benched to send a message, it's not going to happen. Not right now. But it's also not a crazy question. Because if things keep trending downward, the Eagles will eventually have to ask themselves the toughest question of all. Is Hurts the guy? Not just the guy for the locker room or the face of the franchise, but the guy who can win you games when everything isn't perfect. The guy who can elevate those around him. Right now, Hurts is struggling to do that. And again, some of that falls on the coaching. The system isn't doing him any favors. The routes are static, the protection is shaky, and the play design doesn't seem to evolve. But at the same time, elite quarterbacks find ways to overcome those things, at least some of the time. Hurts hasn't shown that this season. That doesn't mean he's washed, and it certainly doesn't mean you give up on him. But it does mean that the leash is shorter than it was 12 months ago. And if Tanner McKee eventually gets a shot, even just to shake things up, it's not about creating a controversy. It's about searching for answers. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. A storm of controversy is brewing in the NFL after Kansas City Chiefs head coach Andy Reid allegedly made disparaging remarks about the Philadelphia Eagles during a closed media session earlier this week. Though the full transcript hasn't been released, multiple sources close to the team suggest Reid's tone was far from diplomatic, and his words have already lit up social media like a fourth-quarter comeback. According to insiders, the veteran coach, who once led the Eagles for over a decade before finding Super Bowl glory in Kansas City, reportedly described Philadelphia's recent performances as overhyped and questioned whether the team had the mental toughness to stay competitive deep into the season. One source even claimed Reid referred to the Eagles' fan base as loud but fragile, a line that, if true, may never be forgiven in the city of brotherly love. Within hours of the rumors breaking, Eagles supporters flooded Twitter, Reddit, and sports radio call-in shows to express their fury. He built his career in Philly, one outraged fan tweeted. Now he's taking cheap shots from the comfort of Kansas City? Unreal. The Chiefs organization has not released an official statement, and Reid himself brushed off questions when cornered by reporters after practice, saying only, "I've got nothing but respect for every team in this league." Still, observers couldn't help but notice his smirk as he walked away. a gesture that's already being dissected frame by frame online. While some speculate that the remarks were taken out of context, others believe Reid's rumored comments could add a new layer of rivalry between the Chiefs and Eagles, especially after last year's Super Bowl showdown. With both teams eyeing another playoff run, fans are already circling the calendar for any potential rematch. Whether fact or fiction, one thing's certain: Andy Reid's words, or whispers, have reignited one of the NFL's most compelling storylines. And as the echo of his alleged jabs spreads across the league, both locker rooms will be feeling the heat long before their next meeting on the field. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.